So obviously, as I'm sure you are all aware, over the past couple of weeks, competitive League of Legends has been kicking off. Season 15, season 2025, whatever we want to call it, around the world in different regions. And obviously, people have noticed a trend or some data points that have been going on around the world as well. And a lot of people are starting to be worried about North America, pointing fingers at North America, make fun of North America, whatever. And obviously, here was a Reddit thread kind of doing just that. This was on Pedro's Peepos, the Cadril subreddit, where they said LTA North hit a peak of 148k viewers on the first day of Split 1. In comparison, there was day 1 peak of 254k for LTA South, so not quite double, but comparably double, almost double, whatever. 170k for the NLC, which again, the NLC is the English or British or like Nordic countries ERL, secondary league, like a tier 2 league. And then we have 546k for LEC, and obviously, hey, a million for LCK, but I don't really want to compare us to LCK or China or whatever too much, but even just for a lot of the Western stuff. So yeah, this was obviously a little bit concerning for some people. Now, there is a lot of different things going on here, and we'll talk about some more of those ideas in a little bit. But obviously, over the past couple of years, people have definitely noticed a decline in North America and have been worried and concerned for North America. Again, some people out of genuine concern, some people, wanting to see NA League of Legends and League of Legends in the West kind of rise back to prominence again, and some people just wanting to be a hater, wanting to make fun of NA, whatever. Obviously, I'm more so in the bucket of I would love to see North American League of Legends go back to what it was 3, 5, 7 years ago, whatever. But, we're not going to be able to go back in time. All we're going to be able to do is build forward for the future. I think there's a million reasons of how we got here. Some of it is just the overall popularity of the game. Some of it is mistakes made by teams or the league or, franchising issues or whatever. There's been so many different things. You can point fingers forever. But like I said, we don't have a time machine. We can't go back in time. We can't change any things that can happen. All we can do is be right here, right now. And again, when we start to look around, we do see that not only am I more so focused on the peak viewership of 148,000 for those peak viewers in the LTA North through the first week, but also those average viewers of not even breaking over 100,000 for the average viewers is a little bit more concerning to me. And obviously, we have had 4 series so far. What also would be a little bit concerning to me is TL against Dig didn't even break 100,000. And again, obviously, you can argue that none of these are really that exciting of matchups. Hey, I think FlyQuest against Shopify was actually supposed to be kind of a decent matchup. I think all these matchups did end up being 2-0s, which also doesn't necessarily help things. But Team Liquid, one of your kind of best and most popular teams in the league, they should still be able to draw in viewership no matter who they're playing or even on their own. And even that not breaking 100,000 average viewers is not necessarily a great look and is leaving people a little bit kind of wondering what the heck is going on. Like I said, as compared to what's going on in the LEC, now the LEC has a lot of other good things going for it, which are kind of self-created. Yeah, they have a bunch of massive co-streamers. Yes, they have, Cadril and K-Corp and Giant X and all these different things and all these different languages and all these different countries. But that's also the infrastructure that they've been building up over the last couple of years, because it wasn't always like this. Again, back in the day, North America was bigger. North America was stronger. They had more money. They had whatever. And now, all of a sudden, the viewership, the financials, the health of the organizations and the league and everything is trending up and continuing to trend up over in Europe and continuing to trend down in North America. And obviously things might get even bad to worse if we do end up losing a team or an organization like 100 Thieves when the LCS is already, kind of not doing so great in terms of getting eyeballs on them. And 100 Thieves, whatever you feel about them, whether you're a fan of them or not, you got to, admit that they are one of the bigger brands, one of the bigger organizations in a team that can draw. But obviously they are not drawing like teams over in Europe or teams anywhere else in the world right now. But what was interesting to me is even over in the LFL, they saw a peak of 100k. Now, yeah, you can argue, hey, that's for K-Corp Blue, but again, this is still K-Corp. Yeah, K-Corp has an insane fan base and fans and blah, 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 but this is still a tier 2 division. This isn't the K-Corp main team. This is the K-Corp second team, and even then, you have a game that didn't even include K-Corp at all, M8 against GW, that got to 80,000 peak viewers. Again, comparing that to North America, NA is looking, some of their matches are looking comparable to LFL matches that don't even include K-Corp. To me, there's definitely some things to be concerned about there. I don't know. And then more stuff, about Esports Chart tweeting out more than 500,000 concurrent viewers during G2 versus Fnatic. Obviously, G2 versus Fnatic is insane. It's a hype matchup. It's a crazy rivalry or whatever. But right now, NA doesn't really even have crazy rivalries. For the longest time, so many of the crazy rivalries were TSM against Cloud9, TSM against CLG, all, some of these historic orgs. And like right now, what's the biggest rivalry in the LCS? Is it just FlyQuest against TL because they're kind of the two best teams. Other than that, there's not really any like meaningful rivalries or any meaningful like storylines or any like must-watch games where like G2 versus Fnatic, even if one of those teams isn't even that good, you always have to tune into G2 versus Fnatic. You always want to tune into G2 versus Fnatic. So I don't really know. Now, obviously, with all the conversation going on online, Twitter, Reddit, Discords all over the place, Mark Zimmerman did want to chime in here and say, viewership convo starting before week 1 ended, haha, so I'm jumping in. We have 4 new channels in 3 languages plus co-streaming. So I think part of what he's arguing is, hey, maybe all the channels don't have as much awareness brought to them just yet, which I would still argue is a kind of an error of advertising, and you should be pushing that stuff, and you should have been pushing that stuff much sooner. But I also think he could possibly be saying, hey, maybe all of our stuff isn't being registered or tracked correctly. He said tracking North plus South is more complicated, so immediate numbers might not cover everything. When we have official numbers ready, we will share like last year. So he is saying that obviously the LCS or the LTAN or the LTA in general, I guess, is going to be putting out their own numbers and data and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. So that's kind of Mark Zimmerman's statement on it. David Chinock did chime in as well. He said he wanted to add that the format is drastically different than prior years as well. So maybe people, don't exactly know when to tune in or how or why, or maybe aren't as excited or whatever. Would also expect viewership to grow over the next 2 weeks rather than the normal fall off after opening weekend. And yeah, I would also say yes, viewership will probably grow because we're going to be getting increasingly more meaningful matches and increasingly better or higher quality matches. But also I would say at the same time, it is maybe a fault of the schedule to not have hyper exciting matchups in week 1, since we generally do see a boost in viewership in week 1 and then viewership drop off. Yes, in this instance we might see viewership increase, but still there is still that natural viewership drop off, or you want that hype of your opening day, your opening weekend. That's always a big thing in sports. When you have no meaningful or exciting matches in that week 1, nothing to build up suspense or drama for, that is a fault of the scheduling, and I think that's kind of like a scheduling error to not have anything exciting in your first matchup. That is a fault of the format, that there's no opening week exciting matchup. So that's kind of something to keep in mind there. Not worth fully diving into the numbers until after week 3, even if it looks scary up front. So I agree, maybe we need to wait a couple more weeks, whatever. But again, you can't stop people from seeing data, having conversations, having discussions, interpreting data, whatever, and maybe at least getting these conversations started now. Now, again, David Chinock does go on to say that, hey, of course, next week is already an insane day of games. We have winners playing their best of 1 tiebreaker after. We're going to have 100 Thieves TL. We're going to have C9 against FlyQuest. So this will be a real day that I think will really prove where the LTA North is in terms of how strong or bad or I don't even know, just disappointing their viewership is going to be, because this is like the best of the best. This is some amazing matchups. These are our best teams playing. These are our biggest fan bases playing. So we'll have to see how things look at that time. But at the same time, David Chinock also tweeted out this, where he said, fun fact, the LTA North TikTok handle still shows up as the LCS on the For You page despite the username and branding being updated. It is confusing a lot of people, and some other people saying, why is LCS posting the LTA? Is this LCS or LTA North? And I chimed in on this thread to be like, yeah, people are still really, really, really confused. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that is something hurting the NA and LTA North viewership right now, that LCS was an insane brand. LCS, whether it was growing, dying, flopping, whatever, LCS has so much legacy and history. All League of Legends fans who have been playing this game for 5, 10, 15 years, whatever, knew what the LCS was, and giving up that much brand equity in a name like the LCS and changing to the LTA or the LTAN, which nobody really truly even knows what it means at this point, is, I think, a mistake, and also obviously going to lead to some downward trajectories right now, because people who were following LTA or LCS on Twitter or Twitch or TikTok, all their stuff suddenly becoming LTAN, they don't even know what it is. They don't even know what this account they're following is. They might think it's something they followed by accident. They might be confused, and they might not want to tune in when, they've been a fan of the LCS, or at least generally known, more casual fans knew what the LCS is for however long. So I do think that's a little bit of a big branding mistake. And then also you have the fact that, hey, we have the League of the Americas, which is North and South America coming together, but I still think that so many NA fans don't and might not ever really care that much about South America or their leagues or their games or whatever. And right now, even though, we're like 2 conferences of the same league, the North really has nothing to do with the South except for a couple weeks here and there throughout the year. It's like if you're a fan of the NBA, you have the East and the West Conference, but like they play each other all the time, and they really feel like they're part of an interconnected league. And yeah, even though I might like a team in the East, I still am a fan of basketball and the NBA in the West and all that stuff, and it's not that different. But the LTA doesn't feel like a cohesive unit. It doesn't feel like a cohesive league with two different conferences right now. It still feels like two completely different entities that are just kind of randomly associated together. And that's not helping the two fan bases build each other up. It's just keeping them still insanely segmented, just under a totally new brand that neither one of them really resonates with or connects with at all. So I still think it's really, really interesting and really strange. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how all this goes. But right now, it does seem like the LCS or the LTAN, whatever, has a big problem that they need to try and tackle. Viewership not looking very strong out of the gates for a bunch of different reasons. Hopefully they'll be able to figure this out. Again, it's no easy task. It's no small task. It's not going to be solved today, this week, this month. It's going to take years, but hopefully they're building up the foundations to have this under control. I think there are some good things going on. Obviously, having a guy like Disguised Toast and Disguise involved in the LCS is awesome. They recently just brought in, Moist, Critical, and Ludwig and guys like that. The Ludwig kind of League Week and all that stuff is, I think, hopefully gaining some popularity of League of Legends in the West and in NA specifically. But there's a lot more work that needs to be done, and maybe some questionable decisions that have been being made recently that have things looking a little bit bleak to start the year. But hey, 2025 is a long season. Things can get better from here. But man, so far the rest of the world is kind of kicking our butt, and it's a little bit disappointing. But that's pretty much everybody's video today, guys. Hopefully catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.